Hi everyone, it's Candace Cubito. I hope your day has been going well for you. If you're looking to make an easy card with a big impact, a step card is the way to go. Stay with me and I'll show you how to make one. Here's one of the cards I've made. You can see that I'm thinking spring. Winter has been here long enough for me. I used to make step cards years ago, but it was a little bit hard to do. I had to do the cutting and folding by myself, and there were plenty of times where I cut a little too far and I'd get frustrated, so I'd have to start all over again. Sizzix has a Framelits die set for this step card, and it makes the card go so much faster. I'm going to make another card for you, but I want to show you the die set. It's called Framelits Step Ups by Sizzix. Here it is. I bought this at Amazon, but I know there are a few other places where you can buy it. You can see that my card is similar to the one shown on the package, but I wanted to get a feel for the die set. Let me take this out of the package for you. You can see that there are many pieces to this set. There are flowers, rectangles, there's a leaf, and swirls that you can use for the step card or any other kind of card you want to make. This is the main die that cuts and scores the step card base. And this die right here cuts out the main panel. Let me show you. See how it fits on the card? It was the hardest part of the card for me to make when I didn't have this die set. This is also a main panel, but take a look. It really doesn't fit on this side, and there's a reason for that. It's because it's meant to be used when you want the big step to be on the right side. This is a very clever set. To make my card, I'm going to be using two other stamp sets and their dies. This one is called Bunny Wishes by Simon Says Stamps. I'm going to use the Happy Easter, and I already have that set up and ready to go. And I'm also going to use this little guy right here and this cute little guy with the balloons. I'm also going to use this little set. It's called Happy Easter and it's by Lawn Fawn. What I'm using in this set are the Easter eggs. I would use the Easter eggs in the other set, but they didn't have any dies to them. So fortunately, I had this set on hand and I can just substitute the eggs. You can see that I've stamped the bunnies 2 times each and the eggs 4 times. I'm going to use only half of these and save the others for another time. Here is my cut card base. This uses a 5.5 by 4.25 sheet of cardstock cut in the landscape position. You can see that when it's cut, there is almost no waste. There is just that tiny sliver of paper that needs to be snipped off. First though, I'm cutting 3 panels. I'm cutting the large rectangle, the medium-sized rectangle, and I'm going to cut the rectangle for a left-sided tall panel. I found it's easier to put the panels on the 2 small steps before I fold the base. But if you forget, don't worry about it. It's really not that hard to put them on after. I have a lot of 2-sided decorative papers, and it was hard to choose which side to use. A good problem to have. When I fold the base into the steps, I start with the big step first. Then I do a mountain fold, a valley, mountain, valley fold, and last a mountain. Don't worry if you make a mistake. It's easy to correct. You can see that I made a mistake and corrected it. By the way, I found it easier to use 80-pound cardstock for the base rather than 100. Using the heavier cardstock made it more difficult to crease. You can do it, but it's harder. Also, take your time when you're folding the steps. I have this sped up so it looks like I did it faster than I really did. Here's the paper I'm using for the main panel. It's a watercolor paper and I love it. I bought it at Hobby Lobby. Look at all the pretty papers it has. It's from a company called Momenta. There are a few companies that make this type of paper. Look for one. I like to make my own watercolor designs, but I like having this handy when I don't have time to make some of my own. Okay. So I know that I want to have a little orange in my card. So I thought I would put it like this. And I would get a range. Let's see. If I go like this, I've got even more of a range. So I'm going to cut this out and I'll be right back. I cut out the panel and pasted it to my base. In hindsight, I should have stamped it first. It would have been easier, but live and learn. I'm coloring my bunny basket and eggs. Since I'm not a great colorer, I am just going to put on some music for this part. But first, I want you to know that the egg balloons were plain. I drew in some simple designs to make them more interesting. Also, I wanted white bunnies, so I used very little color on them. Last, I'm Italian, so I couldn't resist using the music called gelato. Enjoy. All right, so everything's cut out and colored. And now what I want to do is stamp the greeting, the Happy Easter greeting. I'm using We Are Memory Keepers Precision Press. It works really well. I'm also using Hero Arts Pool ink, and I'm embossing using a sparkling embossing powder. Most of us know by now that we have to heat up our heat guns for at least 30 seconds before we bring it to our paper. So my little trick is to turn it on before I apply the powder. That way it's ready to go when I am. I want to give the card a little depth, so I have 2 blanks for each of the bunny die cuts that I'm going to glue to their backs. I like to use my cardstock scraps for that purpose. Here's a mistake I made. On the bunny with the balloons, I have a blank with printing on it. I should have made sure I sandwiched that one between the layers. You'll see why in a minute. Now I'm gluing my first bunny onto the large panel. I'm really happy with it. It goes nicely with the background. Next, I'm gluing the additional eggs onto the front of the card in a wonky manner. Notice that I use the same colors on them as in the eggs in the basket. As per usual, I include a little orange in my cord. Next, I want to add some flowers to the middle step. The largest one I cut with 2 of the dies included in the die set. I could have used the smaller flower dies in the set as well, but I opted to use other flowers using flower punches I had. There was no particular reason for doing so other than I had them on hand. I've collected an assortment of embellishments over the years. I decided to add tiny pearls to the large flower. For the other flowers, I added smaller flowers to create a center. And I also inked up the edges of the petals. Then I added a colorful adhesive dot to their centers. I'm nearly finished with the card, and that's when I discover my mistake. The blank with the printing on it is my bottom piece, and the printing shows up on the back when I turn the card around. Fortunately, there's an easy fix. I simply cut out another blank and adhere it to the back. Now I can glue the bunny to the back step, and no one is wiser to my mistake. The card is finished, and it looks like $1,000,000. This card is far easier to make than it appears, and I guarantee that its recipient will love it. As an added bonus, it fits into a standard A2 envelope. Here's the first card I showed you at the beginning of the video. I'll show you other cards at the end of this too. They were made with another Sizzix step card die set that cuts hearts out of the steps. Thanks for visiting, and bye for now.